Hey everyone, this is Tony Martinez, real estate developer and broker here in the area of Tulum, and today we're going to discuss what to look for in a pre-construction purchase agreement, specifically what to look for if you're the buyer. So number one, we want to make sure we understand where the jurisdiction of the agreement will take place. So if you're buying in a foreign country like in Mexico, understand that the jurisdiction will be held here. Now, in an agreement, a traditional agreement, you're going to have the left side be in Spanish and the right side be in English. However, it's important to understand that the Spanish version is the one that will prevail. So a lot of times we read the English one because that's our native language, not understanding or knowing what the Spanish version actually says. So make sure you have someone look at it, particularly a lawyer. Number two, make sure that the company that you're buying from that's in the actual agreement is who you think you're doing business with. So make sure that company is constituted and make sure that you know who the legal representative is, as he's the only one who has power to sign anything. Number three, make sure there's a detailed description of what you're buying, and not just what you're buying, but the overall development. What are the amenities that it'll have, right? What will your unit include as far as the finishes? What is the size of the unit? And anything that has been promised, make sure, for as little as it may seem, that it's in the actual agreement. Number four, every agreement should have a specific deadline of when the unit is to be ready and the overall development. Now, they're all going to have some sort of a grace period. That grace period can be 60 days, 90 days, depending on the size of the development. Make sure you understand that there's a grace period for the developer as well, which is fine, but make sure that there's also penalties if they don't comply upon the delivery. Now, those penalties are both ways, right? You're going to have a penalty if you don't pay on time. He's going to have a penalty if he doesn't deliver on time after the grace period. Whatever those penalties are, make sure that you are in agreement with them and that they're fair. Number five, understand that the possession, when you take possession of the unit, that timeline, that deadline is different than when they will deliver the deed. There's two timelines, the delivery of the unit and the delivery of the deed under your name. Okay, so both have to be on there. They don't happen at the same time, not most of the time, at least not in Mexico. So you got to make sure that you understand that one deadline is when you take possession and a whole other one is when you'll actually have the deed under your name, both of which should come with deadlines and both of which should have their penalties as well. Number six, fair penalties in an event of a breach of contract. Now, what does fair mean, right? So it's very common that the developer will try to protect themselves, so they'll put high penalties if you are not on time with your payments. However, if they don't deliver on time, generally their payment or their penalty is very small. Sometimes there isn't any. So you got to make sure that if you have a penalty, if you breach your contract, they have to do the exact same thing, and the monies or the penalty involved has to be fair. Number seven, warranty in an event of defects in construction. So in Mexico, make sure you check the jurisdiction of the country you're buying in, but in Mexico, particularly here, the developers must give you 12 months warranty for any hidden defects, meaning the things that you don't see that are not obvious, like the plumbing, the electrical, the structure of the building itself. Okay, so you got to make sure that that is in there. It should be there by law, but you got to double check. Number nine, all purchase agreements will have annex. They'll make references to Annex A, Annex B, Annex. These are additional documents that are attached to the original agreement. You got to make sure that if it says that there's 5 annex documents, that there is indeed 5, and that you've checked them all out, you've read them, and you feel comfortable with every annex. So make sure that every annex that is mentioned also exists. Number 10, and lastly, make sure that once you feel comfortable and you sign, that you don't just sign digitally, though you can, but you have to make sure that you also request a physical original copy of the agreement, which is meant for you to keep or your lawyer in an event of anything. And if you guys also want to know what to look for in a developer when investing in pre-construction, make sure you watch the other video I did, because there's a whole series of them. We're going to upload it here, so make sure you go check the other video. If you like this video, if it's giving you value, you want to know more, make sure you subscribe so you guys check out all my content. Make sure you share, you like, you comment, ask me questions so that I know what to base my next videos on. We're just getting started, so we have a lot more content coming. Follow us.